Honorable members, I now will call upon the Honorable Prince M.G. Buthelezi. I've been informed that the Honorable Buthelezi will address us on the virtual platform. The Honorable Buthelezi.
Ministers, honorable deputy ministers, honorable members. Every year, in the absence of detail of this budget, very little is said about the budget itself. Instead, this debate becomes a platform to denounce the president and his party for every failure, excess, and scandal that has destroyed the credibility of the ruling party and decimated public interest. I've tried over the years to speak to this actual budget, pointing out the absence of information on the presidency's audited performance history, the massive chunk consumed by salaries just to maintain this bloated machinery, the skyrocketing expenditure on travel and consultants, the duplication of reporting lines and the overlapping of roles. I've done this because that's our duty as representatives of the people. We are now faced with the biggest presidency of our country has ever seen. Unlike other departments over which the parliament is actually able to exercise oversight, the presidency has 4 ministers, 4 deputy ministers, a deputy president, and a president himself. And yet this burgeoning presidency has not translated into solutions. The problem persists and they are growing. We therefore thank the IFP's Chief Minister, the Honorable Mr. Naren Singh, for his intensive efforts in the Rules Committee. We have finally seen the acceptance that Parliament should strengthen its oversight over the presidency. It is the first step on a road we should have walked many years ago, and there may still be a long journey ahead. But hopefully, in the end, we will see a time when this budget goes through the same process that every budget is subjected to, where the accounting officer answers all questions in committee before we are asked to declare in this House that this budget is justified. When that happens, the IFP will revert to speaking to the budget in this debate. For now, we must consider the perspective of ordinary South Africans who, like us, have not had the opportunity to ask questions and answers. For our people, House Chair, the figures that cause the greatest anxiety are not the figures in this budget, but the figures that translate into immediate crisis for households, for families, and across the country. Figures like inflation, like the cost of electricity, like the cost of food, the cost of transport, of healthcare and education, the cost of doing business, and the terrible cost of pervasive corruption. We all shook our heads in disbelief when the former president insisted that there was a good story to tell. The fact of crisis on every country was blatantly obvious. It was a welcome relief when his successor spoke so candidly of the problems that we're facing. But we needed more than an admission of crisis. South Africa needs solutions. Without solutions, our economy continued to plummet. The rand has depreciated more in 5 years of this presidency than it did during the so-called 9 wasted years. Since the ANC took power, South Africa's currency has become 5 times weaker. And sadly, the decline is accelerating. In 5 years of this presidency, unemployment has increased by 6%. We have almost 2 million people unemployed in South Africa, more than did at the start of the presidency. Youth unemployment has increased by over 8%. While other emerging markets have managed to reduce inequality, South Africa has now had the highest level of inequality in the world. The gap between rich and poor is a chasm. As one activist pointed out, in South Africa, the chief executive officer earns as much as 461 black women. More than half of our people live in poverty. It's cheaper to buy petrol in any of the BRICS partner countries than it is here. In fact, petrol costs half the price in Russia than it does here in South Africa. In the 5 years of this presidency, murder has increased, rape has increased, assault, robbery, hijacking, burglary, theft, illegal possession of firearms, all have increased. Kidnapping has increased by more than 58%. These are just figures, Honorable Your Excellency, and they speak for themselves. February saw us hit 100 consecutive days of load shedding. Yet for 2 months, the President's new Minister of Electricity has no defined responsibility. While the GDP flounders at 0.2%, expenditure in the Presidency is set to increase by 2.9% each year. And that figure speaks of a leadership grossly out of touch with reality. In concluding, sir, I would like to thank you, President, for what you have done in tackling corruption in our country. I would like to say to you, as the oldest member of this parliament, that I'm always mindful of the fact that your leadership is not responsible for every misfortune that the country faces. I will end up by saying, Your Excellency, to you, someone defined a saint as a sinner who dies trying. I think that there are many positive things for which you and your ministers are trying to do. Please, in spite of what the negative things that are pointed out, continue to do the good things that you are doing for the country. So in other words, my final message, Your Excellency, that please continue to lead in the mold of that definition of a saint who dies trying. Thank you.